بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الأمين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. After the death of Muawiyah radiallahu anhu, his son Yazid became the Khalifa. Al-Hussein, the grandson of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, did not pledge allegiance to him. The news spread in the Muslim world at that time that Al-Hussein did not pledge allegiance. The people of Kufa sent him hundreds of messages urging him to come from Mecca to Kufa and lead them in a revolt to fight Yazid. He believed them, and he took some 50 or 60 of his own family, brothers, nephews, and few supporters, and made his way to Kufa in Iraq. He thought that he will find a big army waiting for him, and from there he will go and fight Yazid and try to dislodge him. Let's see what happens. 18,000 Shias of Kufa pledged loyalty to Hussein. None honored it. He found an army waiting for him of 4,000 men. Remember, he only had 60 or 70 people. Amongst them, there were women and children. Not a single soldier from Syria was present. All the Shias were from Kufa. So those 4,000 people were from Kufa. Those are the ones who were part of the ones who pledged loyalty and invited him to fight for him. But before he went to Kufa, eminent Sahaba like Abdullah ibn Umar and Abdullah ibn Zubayr and Abdullah ibn Abbas tried to dissuade him from going to Kufa. They told him, look, remember, they let down your father and they killed him. They let down your brother and tried to kill him. And they'll do the same to you. You can't trust them. He said, no, I've got all these written pledges. I'll have to go and do it. Abdullah ibn Abbas suggested to him, he said, look, if you insist, ask them to meet you in Yemen. If they're sincere, they go to Yemen, you meet them in Yemen, and then from there, you are sure that you've got an army to fight with. He didn't listen to anybody. He went to Kufa, and instead of fighting 18,000 soldiers waiting for him to lead them, he found 4,000 Shias waiting to kill him, and they killed him. Well, Hussein's grandson, called Zayd ibn Ali ibn Hussein, 60 years later, he again challenged the Umayyad. 40,000 Shia from Kufa gave him pledge as well of allegiance, and people reminded him what they did to his grandfather. But when the battle time came, he was alone and he was killed as well. This killing of Hussein always depicted as Hussein against Yazid, right rising against wrong, the quest for justice against the forces of oppression, Shia against Ahl Sunnah. None of this is true. It was initially Hussein against Yazid, but when Hussein radiallahu anhu found out that the Shia of Kufa were against him, he suggested to the governor of Kufa, he said, okay, if you leave me alone, I will go to Yazid and pledge allegiance to him. But that man insisted on killing him. So he really wanted to give, so it wasn't really Hussein against Yazid. It was initially, but Hussein changed his mind. When he found he has got no supporters, he agreed that this is a matter of de facto now, that Yazid is, and it's always right against wrong. Well, who is right and who is wrong? Who is right and who is wrong? You can't tell who's right and who's wrong. If we say the people of Kufa are right, they killed the Shia are right, then they killed Hussain. If we say Hussain is right, he changed his mind. He realized he made a mistake. So it was altogether a badly planned action. And then they say the Shia, it's a quest for justice against the forces of oppression. We cannot accuse Yazid of oppression. We can't, because I'm not defending him. I know he was a bad man, but he just assumed office. So when he didn't have time to become a tyrant, he didn't have time to show oppression. He showed later on oppression, but that was long after the killing of Hussein. But the end of it, and that's the truth, the last statement is truth, it's Shia against Ahl Sunnah. They always find a reason to be against us. And if they don't find one, they'll make up one. A sermon delivered by Ali ibn Hussein ibn Abi Talib, that's Ali Zain al-Abidin, to the people of Kufa. Ali was the son of Hussein. He was at the battle of the Karbala, but he didn't join because he was ill. And the army of bin Ziyad spared his life. They found him ill, he didn't kill him. So he said to the people of Kufa after the battle of Karbala, are you mourning and crying for us? Because that's what they did after the battle. Who else killed us? All right. Now, Hussein's sister, Zainab bint Ali, radiallahu anha, she said to them, O people of Kufa, O you deceivers, O you who break your pledges and retreat back, you traitors, may the cries never end and the tears never diminish. Your false pledges contain no element of truth and sincerity. Beware, for you have sponsored a very wrongful act of which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is totally displeased with you. Without doubt, His wrath shall soon descend upon you. Are you now crying? Yes, by Allah, you must weep because you deserve the tears. Cry immensely and laugh less, for you are contaminated with such shame and disgrace that you will never be able to wash it off. How could you exonerate yourself from crime of slaying the grandson of the last prophet? Will you be surprised if the sky rains blood? Remember the punishment of the day of judgment, which will be much more severe and much harsher. The Independent newspaper in 2005, 2015, Shia Muslims slash and whip themselves to mourn the death of the Prophet Muhammad's grandson. This is the picture now of Islam. People think that's Islam in the whole West, in the whole world. This is not Islam, this is Shi'ism. And why are they doing this to themselves? Why are they drawing so much blood? It is the bad dua, the dua that Zainab made on them. Cry forever. Heaven will shed blood and still shedding, but for the past 1400 years on the Iraqi Shias who did this. Actually, on the Shias all over the world, because they're all the same. Imam Ja'far is also reported as having said, no verse did Allah reveal in connection with the munafiqeen, the hypocrites, except that it is to be found in those who profess Shi'ism. That's Al-Mansur Al-Tabrisi, Al-Ihtijaj. That's the story of Al-Hussein and the Shia of Karbala.